cool llama.
Cute.
Oh, but then I drank the string. Morning. things are going good on Coffee Club today.
They are.
Like, oh, we're live as I'm like, look at my llama, Candisse.
So
Look at it.
cute. It is so cute.
Thank you for connecting with us this morning as we get ourselves situated and ready for another fun Coffee Club conversation. We'll give people who are joining us live just a moment to get connected. If you're catching the replay, pour yourself a cup of coffee and let's sink into a conversation today where we get to learn something and we get to help someone at the same time. So I think there's days when you get to learn and you get to help. It's a big day. So I'm really pleased, Candisse, that you're here to hang out with us this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited. Like I was just saying to you, I'm like, I feel like this is all I talk about. So let's go.
Well, you've had some big things happening in your life. And what I think is important to connect on today as we get started in our virtual coffee club chat is that you've been on the show before a few times, but always in the effort of promoting something for someone else, promoting something for community. You're always giving back to the place that you live. And our conversation today is solely going to be focused on you and how we can support you and how we can give back to you. And I know, knowing you, that is uncomfortable. And the fact that you've done reels and posts and people have held fundraisers in your honor is making you feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yep. This whole thing is a little weird. Like, I would much rather be on anything talking about anything for someone else and helping them rather than talking about myself and why I need the community's help. So it is definitely pushing me out of my comfort zone, but I'm also like making really great connections, learning a lot about myself.
Yeah.
And I just have to do it. I think it also is shining a light on not only my own life, but other people's lives that have SMA. So
yeah, I think so. And you're really showing the lesson of taking down the walls, putting yourself in a place of vulnerability and asking for help. And why as humans we are so so dead against just really authentically asking for help, I'm not sure. I don't know why foundationally maybe it's our survival mode from a bazillion years ago, but I appreciate so much that you're just, you know what? I can't do this by myself and I need help.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of funny that you mentioned that because I feel like what I refer to as the olden days, I feel like the community just always banded together. It was like, oh, that family's crop needs help getting done. Like, help take it down. Like, let's build, let's help cook meals, let's help do all that thing. And it was very normal to ask for help in those things. But when it comes to like bigger picture things, I think we all feel like a little bit of maybe like shame or something where we can't provide that for ourselves. But sometimes, like you said, it's just too big to do it on your own. It's too big. It's too heavy. It's just too much. So, yeah.
And here we are. So let's start with a little bit of background. Like when you talk about having SMA and the reasons why we're here and that you're an advocate for this, what is SMA for somebody who doesn't know?
Okay, so it's so funny. Every time I go to explain this, I feel like I do it slightly different every time.
That's okay.
Yeah. Okay, so to break it down so everybody can understand the basis of it, SMA is short for spinal muscular atrophy, and it is a neuromuscular disease that I got diagnosed with basically, I was like 15 months old, I believe. And what it does is it basically robs your body of a protein that helps you to build muscles. And when you think about your muscles, that helps you to do everything that you can think of, like walking and running and jumping and those kind of things. But then it also affects things like breathing, coughing, swallowing, chewing. It affects your heart. Your heart is a big muscle. And so it affects everybody a little bit differently. Not to get too scientific because it's not my forte, but we all have different number of these proteins missing. And so that just depends on how it fully affects your individual body. So for me, like I said, I was diagnosed at about 15 months old. And at that time, there was no cure, there was no treatment. My parents were told that I wouldn't live to see my first birthday. Basically, like, take me home, love me, live the best 5 years, and hope for the best. Yeah.
Yeah. And can you imagine just thinking for a moment, putting yourself in your parents' shoes of having this beautiful baby girl and you get told, maybe she'll see 2, maybe she'll see 5, but we're not really hopeful at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
It's
then
just
today, you're a rock and rollin' 40-year-old badass. Like,
well, I'm trying. I'm trying. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's wild. And what's actually really kind of wild is that even today, as people get the diagnosis, they're still told very similar things. Even though there are treatments out there. Which is alarming to me because I think even the treatments all came out like about 5 to 7 years ago. And so even for me, when I was like in my 30s, I was still like living my best life thinking when your time comes, your time comes. And in a weird way, it was easy. Like I just like, yes, I knew I was different, but I didn't dwell on it. I didn't like hold myself back. I feel like I've done everything that everybody else does that doesn't have to live their life in a wheelchair. And so then having these treatments come out was like so exciting. But shocking that those diagnoses are being given and still having that like expiration date, like I refer to it, being given. So it's a wild life right now.
well, I mean, ultimately, we all know we have one, but we're never told like when that timeline sort of comes into play. So having that, it would be easy to fall
Mhm,
into a place of poor me, woe is
mhm.
me.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot to live for. What does it matter anyway? But you're such a person from the moment I've met you, which has probably got to be at least, we got to be pushing 15 years or more
Probably.
now, maybe close to 20.
Yeah.
From the moment I've met you, you have been somebody who is like, nope, like literally, figuratively, I'm going to run this stuff over. Like I am
Yeah.
forging ahead, and you've created your own businesses and you've done all these things and you give back to community and you keep striving. And I
Mhm.
think it's so inspiring. And we come to today where you need help with getting into a clinical study and you need help with, I want to say, like, I don't know, Candice, if I'm going to be dramatic when I put it like this, but I don't know if we'd call it life saving because you've had so much beautiful life, but this is life prolonging so that you can
Mhm.
finish the goals and do the things and give back to the world,
Yeah.
even more so. And
Yeah.
maybe even the quality of life of that improving and what that looks like if you can get into this next opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is where you'll have to bear with me. All
Yeah.
of this information literally has come to me in the last like 7 days. So I'm still wrapping my head around it a little bit. Um, but basically, like I mentioned, 5 to 7 years ago, the timeline's a little blurry there, but these treatments started to roll out for SMA. Um, I was kind of like, okay, that's great. Um, when the time is right, my doctors will reach out to me and they'll be like, okay, let's get this started. And for anyone that lives in kind of like this medical world and clinical trials and studies, there's a lot of research that goes on. And there's a lot of like rules and guidelines before these things get approved to be able to give it to everybody that needs it, kind of thing. So I was like, okay, we'll wait it out. It's like I've lived a good life. I'm living a good life still. Um, the time will come, right? Like I've already surpassed living my expiration date.
Yeah.
I never thought in my lifetime would I ever see a treatment. And so I'm like, we're moving on up right now. So I was waiting, and then I waited and I've waited and I've waited. And as I'm waiting, all these different pieces of information are coming up, and you see governments approving it for young kids, and then they're approving it for people up to the age of 25. And I'm like, okay, we got to be next, right? And so far now that time has not come. It doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon. And so I started just diving in and figuring out why am I and other people like me who have way outlived their life expectation being denied access to this treatment. And so basically what it boils down to is all these clinical studies and the data. So we're in this like vicious hamster wheel is what I call it, where there's not many of us my age that have SMA that make it to age 40. So that's hurdle number one. Therefore, there's not enough people in that age range going into clinical studies to create the data to give to like the health organizations and the government to make them feel safe and secure to be like, yep, go ahead and drink the magic juice. It's going to make you feel better kind of thing.
Right.
And so, yes, it's very frustrating. And I feel like I'm at the stage in my life where I'm like, I'll do whatever, whether it's to be just a part of the research that will get us to an end goal of maybe not just treatments, but cures, but also, like you said, just to be on something that is proving such great results in people younger than me, where it is just improving that quality of life. Because I would say like over the last 3 years, I've definitely noticed more than ever a decline in my disease. So I guess that's one thing I didn't really mention. So SMA is a progressive disease. So when I was younger, no, I never walked, but I got my first wheelchair when I was 3 and I've done everything. And I didn't really notice the day-to-day effects of my SMA other than I did everything from a wheelchair. And then now it's almost like I turned 40 and everything started to go downhill, which lots of people say happened.
I'm like, that's for everyone.
Yeah, like
Our bodies are doing all kinds of, but you sort of get like the double whammy of that. You get what coming into 40 as a woman does to your body, and the degeneration of SMA into your 40th year of having it. And so like the combination, I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's a lot. So then I've been like, I've had family and friends, they've started a GoFundMe, because I got to the point where I was just like, okay, the government, who knows when they're going to ever approve this for adults. And so there's a medication called Risdiplam. It's an oral medication. We started a GoFundMe to start just raising it. And I was hoping that we can do what we can to raise as much as we can so I can at least get on some sort of treatment to give back that quality of life, to prolong my life. And although it's still considered a new medication, although it's been out for 7 years, see what else it does for people my age with SMA. So we started doing that. And there's many days where I'm like, what the heck did I start? Because it's a giant sum of money. My original goal was $356,000.
Right.
Because that treatment costs $1,000 a day. And it's something that I would have to take every day for the rest of my life. So my goal was like, let's raise 1 year of treatment, to give me that chance to see what it does for me. And then maybe a year down the line, the government or the drug company or whatever, the magic will happen and I'll be able to stay on it long term. So that's where I started. And then just last week, this clinical trial was dropped into my lap. And it's called the Ascend study. And it is actually, I'm looking at my notes so I don't mess it up. It's really actually a breakthrough study because it is going to be the first study that is focused on an adult dose of treatment for people with SMA. For the most part, it's been on like young kids or people under the age of 25. And so I actually meet all of the criteria for getting screened and potentially being part of that, except taking that medication called Risdiplam that I mentioned. They want you to be on it for a minimum of 6 months. So now we're shifting gears. Now it's been basically cut in half, the fundraising goal, to be able to get on this clinical study, because I have a study location in the US that's ready to like put me through the process the day that I show them, okay, I've got my prescription, it's purchased, I'm starting today. They'll do all of the screening and pre-testing, and then on day, what is that? Would that be like 91? Because or whatever it is, of 6 months, I would be in the study getting it done. And so it's like exciting, it's scary, it's overwhelming, it's unknown, and it's just a lot of money. So now we're doing everything we can to try to
expedite
get there.
Yeah.
Pronto. The sooner I start, the sooner I get in, the sooner I start feeling better.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a couple of important points in that. Okay. One, it's a little bit baffling for me that there's a medication that costs $1,000 a day in the world that we live in today. I mean, that could be a whole other series that we won't dive into, but okay, first of all, I'm like, $1,000 a day, really? Okay. But then breaking that down, fundraising that amount, I think the key point in this is not only will it allow you to prolong that life and increase your quality of life and keep you being the community superstar that you are, but you are also giving a big sacrifice to be in this to help other people. And not only with this, will this help other adults with SMA, this is going to give information like clinical trial study, research-based information for the next kid that is born with an SMA diagnosis. They're going to be able to look at, okay, look at Candisse McCormick, Exhibit A, and the fact that she lived to 97 years old and did this, right? And we have this medication, like you're paving the way for future people with this diagnosis. And I think that is astronomical and beautiful and amazing. And it's twofold. It benefits you and it's going to benefit community. And I know how scary that must feel.
Yeah, it's scary, but I actually like, yes, the selfish part of me is like, I want this for myself because I'm tired of
you do.
feeling it. But I like what really gives me that extra push to keep putting myself out there and shining a giant light on all the things I can't do is the fact that I could make a difference for future people, because this was never in my sights before. My whole life, I've never dreamt that I would ever get to this point where I'd be fighting for it, let alone having the opportunity to get it, right? So, but I was going to say, when you mentioned the thing about, I think it's just about like now it's just about getting creative. I get that it's a lot of money. There's not very many people that have a free $1,000 a day laying around. I actually had this conversation with one of my friends, and I was like, there's all these like reality shows like Survivor and Big Brother. They're on there and they give up like 90 days of their life and get kind of put through the ringer, and they're only winning like $200,000 or $70,000. I'm like, I couldn't even go on one of these shows and win enough to get treatment. Like, that's what I mean. Like, those people are like, I want this money and it's going to change my life. And I'm like, this money will change my life also. And I can't just pick it up anywhere. So,
No, and I think it's okay to say that, like, even if it wasn't going to help other people, even if it was only going to benefit you, you 100% deserve to have the best version of your own life. And if we can rally behind that, I think it's the way to do so. And I think you posted something that was really, I feel like sometimes we need bite-sized chunks when there's big-sized numbers. And so you had posted, I think, a challenge today that was like, if you go out and get coffee at a coffee shop, they're usually about $5 if you're getting a latte or whatever. And so the challenge today was to take your coffee money and put it into the GoFundMe page. And we're going to post a link to that GoFundMe page when we're done being live here, so that I can post it in there so that it's easy to click for people. And we'll also post your social media handles so that everybody can kind of follow along this story, because we're sort of, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm really invested in like what's happening next. And we'll share that. But I think that's a really easy way to be like, hey, your coffee money today, or your coffee money this week. Or maybe you want to be like, your coffee money this month. Maybe some of us don't want to know how much we're actually spending on coffee.
Or maybe you own the coffee company and you have a lot of money, so you can just give me a lot of cups of coffee.
Either way,
You never know.
just putting something into that GoFundMe page and
Yeah.
knowing that, hey, we know everybody's in a space of
Mhm.
different financial place in life, and $2
Yeah.
from
Absolutely.
10,000 people is still a lot of money. You know,
Absolutely.
$2 from anybody is a lot of money. And so
Yeah.
I think that any amount, no matter what, if you feel like, oh gosh, I just couldn't give enough that would make an impact or whatever, you
No,
know,
and that's I
it
think that's
does.
why I wanted to do, like, this coffee challenge. I'm calling it, like, the hump day hustle, 'cause today on hump day, we're just trying to hustle and raise as many $5 donations because it does every dollar gets us that much closer to a treatment.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have to be big. Like, and then I'm trying to also make it easy and tangible because the one lesson that I have learned is that when you are trying to raise, oh my goodness, everybody's
It's okay.
messaging me. Sorry. Um, the one thing that I'm learning is that when you are in my situation, trying to raise an insurmountable amount of money, it's difficult because I'm just a person and you don't get to do big big fundraisers where people can get tax receipts and things like that. So I'm really relying on like $5 donations or just really generous people that are looking to give to help and not really looking for anything in return other than I feel like my gratitude is worth a lot, I promise.
Well, it's an opportunity to help somebody else, even if for those of you who don't know you and you're a complete stranger, just
Mhm.
knowing you're doing something to improve somebody's life. That's why we donate to things in the first place, is because we
Yeah,
want to make a difference in somebody's life.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
there's lots of big charities in this world where we have donated to, and we don't really know where that money goes, or we don't really know how that gets broken down. We
Yeah.
know with this donation right now, when you go to Candace's GoFundMe page, 100% of this money is going to Candace for
Yeah.
this treatment,
Yeah.
period.
Every
There's no admin
$1,000.
fee, there's no marketing budget,
No.
it's just going to Candace. So, you know what? 100% of your donation helping something,
Yeah.
whether you get a tax receipt or not, that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think what's also important in this is like, okay, give your $2 or your $5 or your whatever that looks like. Great. If you feel like you're in a space where that is just also too overwhelming, sharing this
Yeah.
video, going
Yeah.
to Candace's socials and sharing the reels that she has been doing also makes an incredible impact, my friends, because maybe if you're not able to help today, someone in your circle could help today. And I know I shared your reel
Yeah.
yesterday, and within minutes of sharing that reel, a friend of mine named Christy Lear, who is a beautiful soul in Okotoks, she's a Reiki master and teacher. She put up on her Instagram that anybody who signs up for a Reiki class of different levels within the next few days and pays in full, she is donating 50% of that to your GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
So within minutes of
Yeah.
sharing something, somebody made a plan for how they want to donate. And I
Exactly.
think that's a really great example of how we can share, how we can tap into our circles, how people who are, you know, getting, like you said, getting creative into
Mhm.
how we can put that money into play and how we can
Yeah.
kind of have, and let's have some fun with it. Like let's put some
Exactly.
beautiful energy behind this forward movement into this trial and raising the money for the
Yeah.
what's the name?
Risk
Ritz,
and plan. They
Wisdom.
can't just ever make it easy. It's just gotta be something
I
in
know.
there.
It's like if you're
Yeah.
gonna cost $1,000 a day, you're also gonna have a really complicated name. Like
Yeah. And that's I think like that's what it's about. Like that share, you could
yeah,
share that and somebody could see it and maybe they have deeper pockets and it makes a bigger impact than you'll ever know.
yeah,
There's been some donations that have come through of literally people I don't know that have been very
yeah,
generous. And so, yeah, like I said, every dollar counts, every share counts because you just don't know. And this is where I'm like, I'll make this a little less about me because that's just what I do. But I love that Christy, your friend, did that because guess what? Now this is going to benefit her business.
yeah,
This is going to benefit whoever signs up to
yeah,
do her course. and it's going to benefit me. Like the ripple effect can be huge. So like if you are a business owner and you come up with a way to do something like that, it doesn't need to be thousands of dollars. It can be a couple bucks and it makes a big impact. I have a friend that runs a cleaning company in Cochrane. Right now, she decided this month she's going to donate a portion of all her profits from every clean that she does in November. So it's helping book up her calendar, pay her employees, and she gets to give back. And so many people are going to have a nice clean house. So it's all just really about getting creative. Same with the coffee challenge today. So if you have any ideas, I am open to them. Please reach out to me. I will be sure to share it all on mine. So
yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is a creative idea is just as amazing as a donation and a share too, because maybe there's like some other fun thing that no one's thought of yet, or come to, like, let's share ideas, because I think that's just as valuable as everything else that's going on. So
absolutely. Yeah.
There's so many ways to help. So let's do that. Oh, someone calling now. I wish it was like we were doing like the telemarketing moment, like right of like telemiracle. Whenever that phone rings, a donation is coming in.
Well, it's actually people messaging me because they seen Still Standing last night. They're like,
"Oh yes, and you were on Still Standing." Yeah,
I was. And now the sun's attacking me, so I'll just sit like this.
You were, and you were wearing beautiful leopard print. I was so proud of you. I was like, it's so good. Yeah. Oh, your mom just posted a nice message. I'm going to share it on the screen.
I don't know if it'll all fit on. Oh, it does fit on the screen.
So
Yay.
she says, every penny counts. And in this day and age, it's sad that we have to go to these extremes, but we're happy that we've had these extra 35 years. But that shouldn't be why we have to fight for treatment. You rock, Candice. Keep up the fight.
Thanks, Mom.
And I think there's an easy way to go into, like, we could go into the space of having the conversation of, why is it $1,000 a day? And why do people have to fight for treatment when we live in Canada? And there's this other like sort of side conversation that we could go into. And all I want to say to that is that if that's activating in you, when you hear this story, I want you to remember that when it comes time to vote, when it comes time to bring up issues that matter to you in government and in our world and all of these things. So if you're feeling a little activated by that, hold on to it and carry it over to where it can count in the interim. But meanwhile, just use this as an opportunity to give back to this beautiful woman that you see on the screen today, and everyone else in the ripple effect that is going to impact also. But like I said before, it wouldn't matter if the ripple went nowhere but to you. You are 100% deserving of this treatment, of this study, and of this opportunity. And Lord willing, we are going to fight for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's going to be good. So again, we will post the link to the GoFundMe page. Candice will also be tagged in this video on the social platforms. So if you make a comment that you want to connect with her, have an idea, please feel free to throw that into the comments, because she will see them. And then you can connect directly as well if you have some other great ideas or things that we could do to raise the money. And again, time is of the essence, because we want to get her into this trial. So the quicker that we can raise this money, the better it is for us to secure her spot in this beautiful clinical trial that you said you will get treatment for 2.5 years for free. That is enormous.
It's huge. Yeah.
So let's do it, friends. Let's rally together and have some fun with this. And Candice, thank you so much for taking time to come on and just help explain, because I know that I've watched the reels and I've watched what's going on, and I was like, this is amazing, but I think we need a little more info to just wrap our brains around what it really means.
Yeah, it is. That's probably the toughest part. So I appreciate you having me on here to spread the message, explain it a little further, because these 90-second clips on social media are quite long enough. So
Well, and I think with people coming to watch your socials and check it out too, is they're going to get to learn who Candice is. And for some people, the person behind the request matters to them with where that money goes. And the more they get to learn about you, the more they're going to fall in love with you, just like all the rest of us in this community have. And and we will want to help. It's just inevitable.
That's the plan.
She's not a crazy psycho behind the
No, I
reels, I
promise.
promise.
And as soon as I start having energy and all the motivation, I'll start doing more community stuff. So like it'll get paid back tenfold.
Yeah, it's all good. You
Yeah.
focus on you first, and that will automatically make the world a better place. So don't
Thank
worry
you.
about that.
Thank
But
you.
thank you again for having coffee with us. I'm going to give everybody a cheers. Remember the coffee challenge for today. Our hump day hustle is to donate what you would have bought at the coffee shop into the GoFundMe page today, and stay tuned for what tomorrow's challenge is going to be. So
Or maybe next week.
we'll see what happens. Yeah,
We'll see what
awesome.
happens. You never know. Sometimes I dream them up in my sleep and post them in the morning. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you never know. It's
You
very
never
good.
know.
All
Yeah.
right, friends, have an amazing rest of your Wednesday. And Candice, we wish you, I already see the GoFundMe page just like adding up, adding up, adding up, adding up. And
Love
it's
it.
going to be beautiful. So
Love
have
it.
an amazing day. And friends, we will see all the rest of you back here on Monday morning at 9:30 Mountain Standard Time. Bye, everyone.